Hello, everyone. A very good day to all of you. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy. I wish good health and happiness to you and your family. Welcome to ADManager Plus webinar. And my name is Sujit, and I am a product consultant with Manage Engine. And as a product consultant, I do two things. One, I host webinars, virtual seminars, and workshops on AD solutions. And secondly, I do product implementation in customers' environment. So I get the experience of interacting with administrators, understanding their requirements or the challenges managing hybrid environments. All right, so I have worked with small, medium, and large scale organizations. So before we dive into today's session, I would like to make a quick audio video check just to make sure if you could hear me okay and are you able to see my screen. So please make use of the chat window and you can let me know if you could hear me okay and are you able to see my screen. So maybe say yes or no in case if you have any issues hearing me so I can fix it and we can quickly dive into the session. Thank you, Ellen. Maybe I'll try to wait for others as well to confirm if they could hear me okay and I are they able to hear my are they able to see my screen. Okay. All right. I've got a confirmation from my colleague. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Jorgen. All right, all right. So once again, welcome you all to this series. We have already come to the end of the year, and the new year is gonna begin for us. So new things. I hope things are safe with you. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy. All right. So today we'll be talking about why Active Directory delegation has to be non-intrusive and the need to back up your AD objects. All right. So we all know that it's been more than 20 years since Active Directory has been launched, and we are still talking about Active Directory security. So if you ask me, Sujit, is my Active Directory not secured? Okay. So just to answer this, recently I saw a survey, okay, which was conducted by the technical channel called as Skyport. Maybe you could also follow them on the LinkedIn. So they conducted a survey for like almost like more than 500 plus administrators, asking them if their Active Directory is secure, and more than 57% replied saying very secure, 32.3% replied saying moderately secured, and 2.79% replied saying it is not secured. And asking them, why are you saying that your Active Directory is not secure, on-prem is not secure? And the answers that we got from them is too many administrators in my Active Directory, not knowing who are the users part of my security group, weak password, wrong set of share permission folders being associated on my environment. I can keep listing it, but I would like to stop here. All right. One of the core security risk is having too many administrators in the organization. Okay, so what I would like to offer you today, like if there is an Active Directory delegation, okay, without elevating my users privilege on the Active Directory, I can still make my non-administrative users do their day-to-day Active Directory task. If you ask me, Sujit, is it possible? And the answer is yes, and I'm going to show that to you in a bit. All right, so before that, in case if you got any questions as I take this session, so please make use of the Q&A on the Zoom and you can shoot in your queries and I would be more than happy to answer it for you. So please use the Q&A to shoot in all your technical queries on this session and I would be more than happy to answer it for you all. All right, so I'm going to keep it short. All right, in the next 40 or 45 minutes I'll be able to wrap up this session. Perfect. So quickly diving into the agenda, these are the two topics that I would like to cover in this webinar. Delegate task instead of control or authority. Okay, so without elevating your users privilege on the Active Directory, you can still make your non-administrative users do their day-to-day Active Directory tasks. And second, backup and restore your Active Directory objects seamlessly. Okay, so before I show you here why delegation has to be non-intrusive, so I want you to quickly take you here to my lab setup, which is a 2016 box. Okay, so So before I joined Manage Engine 5 years ago, even I was an Active Directory administrator working for a service-based company. So back in there, when it comes to delegation, it's obviously based on delegation of controls. I would be creating groups and giving those groups the respective permissions so that anybody who's part of that particular group gets an elevation to do those tasks on the Active Directory. I believe you would also do it in case if you don't have a third party application. All right, you might be having a different application same as what we are trying to offer you, but just listen to the use cases, what I would like to say, convey here, see if that would match with the tool that you currently have. All right, so I want to take a quick example here. Let's say I've got this OUIT and I would like to create a task, meaning I would like to create a custom task for a user who should have access to this particular OU. Okay, in case if you have a lab setup, you can try this. I'm going to do a click on right click, delegation of control. I'm going to click on next. All right, I'm going to pick up the user. All right, and then I'm going to click on next, and then I'm going to create a custom task, click on next. All right, and then what I'm going to give him a read and a write privilege for this particular user on this specific OU. All right, I'm going to click on next, finish. All right, done. Okay, so I have a user who has an access to this particular row, and I've given him I would say a custom task for this user on this particular OU. Have you ever wondered what are the attributes that this user would have? What are the attributes in your Active Directory that this user would have access to? All right, so I'm going to show that to you. Do a right click on this OU, go into properties. Okay, click on security, click on advanced. All right, and then I'm going to click on effective access, and then I'm going to select this user for whom I've given a custom role. All right, there you go, and then I'm going to click on view effective access. Let me try to maximize the screen. All right, now here you get to see the permissions which this user has on the Active Directory. Okay, the point what I'm trying to convey here is like he's got a lot of privileges, like a lot of permissions to for the attribute which he actually doesn't require for access to like make any changes to those attributes. But just because I create a custom task just to read and write privileges, he gets all the access to all these attributes that are up down here. My question to you is, do you have an option to do an attribute level restriction on the native tool? Okay, now so far we were talking about creating a delegation, or like the delegation has to be non-intrusive without any elevations. I want my not want my all that I want my domain user is to perform their day-to-day Active Directory task, right? Again, my question to you again is like, can you do an attribute level restriction? Can you do an OU level restriction? Can you do a group based restriction? These are the questions I want you to ponder on. All right, so before that, I want to quickly take you here to ADManager Plus, the offering that I have for you today. So ADManager Plus is an Active Directory management and a reporting solution, and this tool is in the market for more than 15 plus years, and this tool is capable of managing your on-prem Active Directory, M365 Exchange, on-premise file server management, and GPO management. Everything can be managed centralized and can be managed from a single pane of glass. And also when it comes to reporting, we got close to 200 plus of predefined reports on all these platforms where you get to have the in-time information. So right from user provisioning till deprovisioning can be accomplished using ADManager Plus. All right, so that's a quick overview about ADManager Plus. Coming back to our point here, so I want to show you why delegation has to be non-intrusive. One quick example was that I showed you on the lab setup on my 2016 box. All that I gave was a read and write privileges, but I don't have an option to define what are the attributes that this user should have on my Active Directory. Okay, so here the delegation which we have here is not works on a non-intrusive methodology. So I want to start with the advantage here. So first thing, we offer you a role-based delegation. So I'm going to click on help desk role, click on create new role here. All right, and I'm going to put a name here. All right, I'm just going to make this as webinar. All right, again, When it comes to role, it's going to vary from organization to organization. So you might have like L1, L1.5, L2, or help desk, service desk technician, and then you have the administrators. Again, it's going to vary from organization to organization. So in our use case, I'm going to create a role called as webinar L1, and all that I want my L1 technicians to do using ADManager Plus is to create single user, reset password, and unlock an account. All right, that's all. So all that I want this technician to do is create single user, reset password, and unlock an account. Likewise, if you have, let's say like for an L1.5 technician or L2, so you can define the roles here. You can just granular down and specify what role should I associate to my technician. The point here is I'm gonna take off all the elevation that the domain user has on the active directory, and here on AD Manager Plus, the first thing, I'm just trying to create a scope for that user, meaning I'm trying to create a role based delegation for that user. Once I have my roles created as per my organization policy, then I can easily draw the domain users here and associate the roles which I've created. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so here, since it is an L1 tech, all that I want the user to do is create single user, reset password, and unlock an account. Likewise, if it is L2 technician or L3 technician, where you want them to manage groups, giving them access to add to a group or remove from a group, or move users from one OU to another OU, or modify your account or organization attributes, or restore delete objects or delete user. Okay, so you can very well handpick the roles that you would like to associate for this user. So this tool has the capability to manage your AD, M365, Exchange on-premise, file server management, GPO management, as well as your Google Workspace. So create your roles as per your requirement, and once you create the role, then you are all set. Okay, I'm just gonna save this role. Before I save this role, here, okay, here I've given an option. Okay, meaning I'll select the check mark here to create single user, meaning when this role has been associated to a user, this user can log into AD Manager Plus, and then the user can create an account on the Active Directory. So that's the point here, right? But apart from giving them the privilege or setting up a role for a user, we also have an option to do an attribute level restriction. So when I enable this option, this will list me out all the attributes for an account to be provisioned, for a user account to be provisioned in your AD, on your or on your Exchange on premise or your M365. So in any point of a time, in case if you want any of the attributes to be, let's say if there are certain critical attributes which you don't want the technicians to make any changes to those attributes. Example, let's take the M365 tab. So you, let's say if you already predefined the info on the M365 tab, but you don't want the technician to make any changes to the M365 tab, you can directly uncheck the M365 tab, meaning when the technician tries to create an account using the template on AD Manager Plus, the M365 tab will be visible but cannot make any changes to the attributes which is down there. Likewise, any attribute that you see under the on-prem AD or any of the technology, in case let's say you don't want the technicians to change the OU for the user while provisioning, you can just uncheck the container tab. All right, I hope you're with me on that part. So first offering, we did a role-based delegation. Second, in terms of restriction granularity, you can do an attribute level restriction. So here I've got few more roles enabled, like reset password and unlock an account. When it comes to reset password, there are a lot of flags also included under the reset password option. So you can set whether you want to give them an option to type a password, or you want them to generate a password from this place, because AD Manager Plus has the option to generate random password for you when it comes to reset password. Already you can do that or enable that option. Apart from this, in terms of user account control flag, you can just enable the flag as user must change the password next logon. So whatever option that I've check marked here, only those options will be visible for the technician. Okay, so this kind of a granularity and restriction is available on AD Manager Plus. I'm going to save this role here. Okay, and then I'm going to click on help desk technician here on the left pane, and then I'm going to click on add new technician. Okay, so this is the place where you will add a technician. Okay, I'm just going to randomly pick a user here. Okay, Hannah, click on OK, and then I'm going to select the role which we created, webinar L1. All right, done. And then comes our second restriction. So first I showed you an attribute level restriction. Second, you can do an OU level restriction in case if you want the technicians to have or to manage only specific OUs, you can predefine right from this place. So meaning this technician can manage objects only on the specified OU. Apart from this OU, the technician will not be able to see any other OUs. Okay. And the last thing, I'm enabling the option called impersonate as an admin. Okay, what does this do when I enable this option impersonate as an admin? Before that, the account whom I've added here, Hannah, or like I've already added an account called Sujit here. So all that Hannah or like the technicians or the domain users, Hannah and Sujit, are normal domain users without any elevations on the Active Directory. And here I am trying to create a role for them. Okay, I've associated a role for them. As per our role, all that the technician could do is create an account, reset password, and unlock an account. Apart from these three transactions, the technician cannot do any other changes. Now, what I'm offering, like what I'm trying to show you here is you can do an attribute level restriction, number one. Number two, you can do an OU level restriction. And then I'm trying to enable the option called impersonate as an admin. So what does this option refer to? So now when Hannah is added as a technician here, okay, I'll try to edit Sujit's account here. Okay, and then I'll try to set the role which we created. Done. So attribute level restriction is done, OU level restriction is done. Perfect. Let's say if you want this users to manage groups also, but you want to be very specific. Okay, I don't want this user to have or this technicians to have access to all the groups, but I want this technician to have access only to a specific groups. You can predefine the groups under their profile. Or the other way, maybe for an L2 or an L3 technician where you want them to have access to all the groups, but you would like to exclude certain groups from their profile, you can exclude that too. So here, as per my lab setup, I've just got only one domain. In case if you have got multiple domains in your organization, so you can do a domain level restriction. So on domain A, all that I want my technician to do is create accounts, and on domain B, all that I want them to do is reset and unlock an account, and on domain 3, I want them to give access to manage groups. You can very well go ahead and do a cross domain restrictions as well. So ADManager Plus offer you on that. And lastly, uh, coming to M365, if you are in hybrid environment and you're currently managing M365, so when it comes to provisioning an account, this tool can handle multiple platform, meaning you no more have to toggle between multiple windows when it comes to user provisioning. With few clicks, you could have the accounts created on your AD as well as create a mailbox on your M365 too. So now when it comes to assigning license or managing license, so you can also enable to what are the license that this technician should have access to. So you can predefine it right from this place based on the tenant account configurator. So whatever license that you have predefined here, he will have access only to those license which he could assign or remove from a user. Okay, I hope you're with me on that part. Any question, put that on the Q&A box. All right, I'm just going to save these changes and I'm all good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log out from the built-in admin account here. Okay, and I'm going to log in as Sujit. Okay, so this is going to be Sujit's view here. So as per our role, all that Sujit can do is create single user, reset password, and unlock an account. Okay, I'm still keeping the impersonate as an admin on hold, but before that I want to perform this action. Okay, let's say if I want to perform a reset password. Okay, but I know Sujit is just a normal domain user who does not have any privileges on the Active Directory, right? So here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set the password. Okay, and I'm going to search for a user. Okay, I'm going to do a check call, click on apply, and the password is being successfully reset for this user. So you might ask me, how did Sujit got the privilege to reset a password? I know he's just a normal domain user who does not have any elevations on the Active Directory, but when Sujit logged into AD Manager Plus, he was domain authenticated. Okay, not local authentication. He was domain authenticated, and he tried to reset password, and it got successfully modified on the Active Directory. So the impersonate as an admin means that, so we have a service account configured under the domain setting. Okay, I'm going to show that to you in a bit. So here under the domain settings, so we will be configuring a service account, okay, for this particular domain. So any transaction that I do from AD Manager Plus, it is not me who's making those changes on the Active Directory, but it is the service account which I've configured under my domain setting is making all those changes on the Active Directory or the respective platform. Okay, so here under the delegation, you might ask me, okay, so just now when you tried resetting password, so if I would see things from my event viewer, it is not Sujit who's making all those changes, but it is the service account which I have configured under my domain setting, which is making all those changes on my Active Directory or the respective platform. So how will I track all the changes done by my technicians? So far we were talking about setting up roles, bringing in restriction, granularity. We also track all the changes done by each of your technicians. So we have a dedicated audit report which will give you a complete picture of the technicians making the changes made by each of your technicians here. So let's say if I want to granularly pick all the changes done by this user Sujit, I'm going to click on OK, and then when I click on go, it will list me all the transaction. You could see I tried resetting password for an account. It is getting displayed here, the action time. And the information that you see here can also be exported to a CSV, PDF, Excel format. Also, you can schedule this report and have it sent to your email address. And also the data that you see here can be kept as long as you want. All right, so you can do a role based delegation, bring in restriction and granularity, and also we audit all the changes that is happening on your Active Directory. So no more you have to elevate a user's privilege on the Active Directory. Take off all the elevation that they currently have on the Active Directory, come to AD Manager Plus, create the roles as per your organization policy, associate those roles to your non-administrative user who does your day-to-day Active Directory tasks, and then they will use AD Manager Plus as a portal to do their task. So you can also track all the changes done by each of your technicians from the audit report, and from the event viewer it is obviously the service account. So if you would ask me, okay, you have a service account configured here, should that be an higher privileged account? So we believe in a least privileged model. So we have a document available on the internet. In case if you need the document, let me know in the chat. I'll share the link with you. So you can create a service account based on the least privilege document and have that account configured under the domain setting. That's all, as simple as it is. All right. So just the points to be remembered when it comes to delegation, you have to have a precise restriction. What actions that you would like to associate for your users? What are the attributes for which the users should have access to? Let that be users, groups, OU, domains. My restriction has to be precise. All right. And again, no more you have to use a domain admin account only to perform certain action. In terms of setting up privileges, so as I told you, we believe in a least privilege model. So you can create a service account based on the least privilege model and have that account configured under the domain setting. So never, you don't have to use shared accounts in case if you're currently using. And also we help you review the events done by each of your technician under the audit report, so you have a complete clarity of which technician is making what changes using AD Manager Plus. All right. So this is just a logical understanding. Okay, in our case, I just created an L1 tech. Likewise, you have a super admin, you have an OU admin, and a help desk admin or an HR department guy. So when they use AD Manager Plus as a portal, they authenticate themselves, use this AD Manager Plus web client. Let's say for the OU admin has the access to create or modify account, and the help desk has access to reset password, and the HR department has access to create account. When they try to perform all these action from AD Manager Plus, and it will be actioned on your Active Directory. All right. So they are all domain user who does not have any privileges on the Active Directory, and on the back end, it is the service account which is configured under the domain setting which is making all those changes. All right. So coming back to our second module for the day is Active Directory backup and restore. Okay, why should I back up my Active Directory? I have my native tools like PowerShell, which using that I can retrieve any information from the Active Directory. I've got the LDP utility, or I've got the Active Directory Administrative Center, or Recycle Bin. Okay, so using any of these functionality, I'll be able to retrieve. But we will also have to talk about the challenges that is happening in my native tool. Okay, do I have an option to do a granular backup? Okay, or do I have an option to do a multiple backup frequency? Do I have the option to search what is inside the backup? Can I do a version comparison? What is inside my backup? And in terms of data integrity, when I am trying to take a backup of my AD objects, or when I am trying to restore my AD objects, is that attribute values are replicated over to all my domain controllers, making sure the value remains the same either while taking a backup as well as restoring that backup to its original version. So these are the challenges using the native tool. So looking at these challenges, so we came up with a tool with a backup and restore, and we have incorporated that onto ADManager Plus here. Okay, so before I talk about the limitation or challenges, okay, so we have the backup module here on ADManager Plus. Okay, just give it a minute for it to load. All right. So the backup module which we have on ADManager Plus, okay, helps us to do a backup and a recovery of all our AD objects. So in case if you have a licensed version of ADManager Plus and you don't see the backup module, okay, so this is an add-on on the ADManager Plus. Does not comes with the package, or does not belong comes with the with your current license version. So you have to buy it separately. But if you are currently evaluating ADManager Plus, or you are someone who's looking for a solution to backup and restore your AD objects along with managing the other platforms too, you're at the right place. So for those of you who has a licensed version of ADManager Plus, I request you to drop an email to sales@manageengine.com and request for an eval license along with your registered license. So they will send a license to you, apply that license onto the ADManager Plus, so that you get to have the benefits of this backup, which I'm going to share it to you in a bit. Okay, for those of you who are evaluating ADManager Plus, so please make the best use of it. I know accidental modification or accidental deletion, no organization being exempted of this particular task. Okay, and during whenever there is an accidental modification or whenever there is an accidental deletion, so we always run to the recycle bin. So again, for recycle bin, my domain controller has to be 2008 R2 and above. All right, so my recycle bin feature has to be enabled on my DC. That's when I'll be able to perform those changes, or I will try to restore the object to its previous backup point here. Okay, but what we offer to you here on ADManager Plus, looking at all those challenges, we offer you an object level backup. Okay, so I want to start with the configuration. The configuration is pretty straightforward. So just click on the backup settings, and this will show you the domain which has already been discovered, and then you get to choose the OUs that you would like to backup from your AD and the objects that you would like to backup from your AD. So again, I'm going to click on this plus icon. Okay, it will display all my OUs under this profile here, and once you set the profile, then you get the option to select the objects that you would like to back up here. So we have categorized them based on users, computer, contact, group, OU. So once we categorize them here, you also get the option to select the attribute that you would like to backup. Once you select the attribute, then you're all set. Okay, and then you're going to save the policy. You might ask me a question: can I backup my custom attributes also? Yes. Just click on this plus add attributes and then just provide in the LDAP name of the custom attributes that you have in your organization. And once you add them, we can also backup as well as restore that object. So I'm just going to save this, and now comes our scheduler. So here we have two types of scheduler here: a full backup and then an incremental backup. So the full backup, we will take a complete backup of all your AD objects as we have defined above. Okay, the OUs and the attributes that I would like to backup. And the incremental backup will capture only the changes that happen during an interval. So example, let's say if I'm trying to run the full backup, okay, every month on first of every month, the full backup would run, and then the incremental backup would run every Monday. Okay, so when the incremental backup runs, it will try to capture only the attributes that got changed in the interval, and then and then we store it in our database. Okay, coming back to the point. So when it comes to backup and restore, okay, so you might ask me, okay, where are these backups are being stored? Are they being encrypted? Is they secured? So the place where they're getting stored, the database, or like, will I be able to hack it and like steal the information? And the answer is no. Okay, so we have a separate database, okay, that gets installed along with your installation directory where you have ADManager Plus installed, and the name of the database is called as Elastic Search Engine. So ES is the database that we use to store all your backed up data. Okay, and then if you ask me, can I go to that particular installation directory and can I will I be able to see what is inside the backup? Answer is no. The only place where you can review what is inside the backup is from the UI. Okay, to be very precise. So once I set my full backup, set my incremental backup, and then you can set your retention point. So how many full backups that you would like to retain on the repository. Again, that is completely based on the space that you have on the server. If you can keep increasing the space, then you can just keep it as 12 or 15 or 20. Choice is all yours. Again, it's going to vary from organization to organization. Okay, so once my configuration is all set, I'm going to click on save, and then if I would come back here to the summary tab, I get a nice UI which will tell me how many backups do I have on the ADManager Plus. Okay, let me try to do a quick refresh here. Okay, there you go. So backup, and then you get the backup summary, which will show me how many backups do I have, how many full backups do I have, how many incremental backups do I have, was there any objects that got recently modified, recently restored. All those information will be captured on this particular place. Okay, you get a nice intuitive UI too. Now coming back to the action when it comes to restoration, what happens when there is an accidental modification or an accidental deletion that happens in your organization? Okay, so we have two types of view when it comes to restoring an object to its original version. Number one, a simple restore, and then I have a granular restore. So let me show you the difference, what happens to a simple restore and a granular restore. So on the simple restore, first thing, you get to choose the date range and you can identify what got changed in that particular interval. Let's say if I'm gonna set it as 1st of December to 19th of December, I get to see there were three major changes and three backups are currently available. I can pick either one of them. Okay, all right, I have a user here called Kenta. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I can see there are 7 changes for this user in this particular date interval. I can just click on those 7 changes and I can review what is his current value on the active directory and what is his backup value on the active directory. Okay, so the current value, okay, is current value, the title is manager, human resources, manpower. But when I get to see the group membership, so on the backup value, he was only part of 5 objects, but and on the current value, he's part of 6 objects here. So I can just click on that and I can review. Okay, so currently is part of six objects, okay, current value, and on the backup he was just part of five members. So I want to identify what was that additional group that he was part of, okay, which has to be removed because that was something accidentally being added to this user. Okay, so you can just granular down, select only that member of, not required that you have to select all the attributes, select only that attribute, and then you can restore them to the previous backup value. Once you select this option and then when you restore, then you are all set here. Okay, let me show you one more view that I have here, which is granular view. When I select this granular view, again, I'm going to set the same date range, and then I'm going to search for this user called Kenta. So on this simple view, I selected the date range, and with the date range, I was able to identify what are the attributes that got changed for him in that interval. I can review and I feel, okay, which attribute got changed, and then I can restore them. In case if you feel like if you feel like I want to see all the backups that are available for Kenta, okay, what I'm going to do is same enable the filter, selected the date range. I search for this user called Kenta, and on the same date range, I'm able to see there are five backups available for this user on total. So now I can get to see what happened in each of the backup, what attributes got added, what attributes got modified. I can see on each of this, and then I can restore the objects back to its original version. So if I feel, so this has the right info, okay, then what I will do is I'm going to select the member of tab, and then I'm going to restore the object to its original version. As simple as it is. I don't have to break my head whenever there's an accidental modification, accident deletion, run to my recycle bin and then see what got changed, or like come back to my LDP utility tool. And then like, if you ask me, like, will all my objects will be restored if it is 2016, 2019? Yes, possibly yes. But if you are still holding 2008 or before that, so if you ask me, will all my attributes get restored back to its original point? And the answer is no. So far I was talking about accidentally modified user. Even your deleted user, if you accidentally delete any of your active directory objects from the same place, you can restore them back to its original version, to the original place where that particular object is supposed to be. All right, it's pretty simple and a straightforward solution. If you've got any questions on this, I already saw a few questions coming on the Q&A. I'll be more than happy to answer it to you once I'm done with this. Okay, we're almost done with the session. I just, all that I want to just to show you the limitation that we have on the native backup compared to the add-on which we have on ADManager Plus. So on the native tool, when it comes to backup, you don't have granular backup here, but here on the ADManager Plus add-on, we help you, offer you a flexibility to choose the OUs and the objects that you would like to backup. And in terms of incremental backup, there is no incremental backup on the native tool. Here we offer you full backup, incremental backup. You set to run the in terms of the frequencies, the multiple backup frequencies. So on the native, it offers you only daily or an hourly backups, but here you can choose daily, hourly, monthly, weekly. Okay, you can set that. And searching an object from your backup on the native tool, it's a big no-no. But here, I in real time I showed you what is inside the backup, what object got modified on that particular backup. I can review and then restore, granular down and restore that particular attribute which has to be restored back to its original version. But on the native tool, I cannot do that. And last thing, in terms of version comparison, I cannot do a version comparison on the native tool, but the backup add-on will, where I can select a date range and I can see all the backups available for that particular object. I can review each of the backup and I can see the exact value, and now I can do a version comparison there and then restore the object back to its original state. Okay, in terms of limitations of native restoration, so when it comes to doing a complete restoration, as I told you earlier, if your environment is 2000 before 2008 R2 and above, and there are chances that not all your attributes would get restored, but here with the backup add-on, a complete restoration is possible. All right, let that be your modified objects, or let that be your deleted objects in your AD, complete restoration is possible. Okay, and in terms of hierarchical restore, so in case if you have deleted deleted an OU, and if you have the experience of restoring a deleted OU, you would know the pain. You have to restore the parent OU first, and then the child OU, again the parent OU and the child OU. But here on ADManager Plus accidentally, in case if your OU is being deleted. So all that you have to do is search for that particular date, which maybe like when the OU got deleted, and then you can just you it'll automatically show the OU that got deleted. Just select that particular OU that got deleted and click on restore to the previous backup value. Now, along with the parent OU, all the child OU and its respective objects are being backed up. Okay, so that comes to end of today's webinar. Just to give you a quick recap, so we spoke about why delegation has to be non-intrusive. Okay, without elevating your users privilege on the active directory, you can still make them do their day-to-day active directory task. Okay, and creating role-based delegation, creating granularity restriction for those user for which they should have access on managing your multiple environments. And so lastly, we spoke about why backup and restore is mandate, or whenever there is an accidental modification or an accidental deletion that happens in your environment, you can quickly run to this place. Help this tool can help you restore that object to its previous original version. Okay, if you would like to evaluate ADManager Plus, or if you would like to help, you need any assistance configuring the backup, do let me know in the chat, and I would be more than happy to answer you all for. Thank you all again for hearing me, and I would like to appreciate each and every one of you who has taken time of your day to be here with us. Thank you. It means a lot.